Shanti, everyone. Shanti. Hello. Good morning. Juliet Bang. Good morning.
Good
Shanti.
morning,
Juliet
good
Bang.
morning, brother.
Shanti. Good to see you. But I think a couple are just connecting to the audio. They're transitioning from the waiting room. Hello. Shanti. So great to have you here this morning. For those of you who've not joined before, my name is Shailen, and I'm a student of the London Centre in the UK. And my mother, Engine Band, she'll be joining us a little later as well. And these sessions are designed for regular students of the Brahma Kumaris to have an opportunity to chit chat and mull over certain points and themes in the Murli. And the idea here really is you can ask any question that's in your mind. There's no question that's too small. And also you can share your thoughts and views and perspectives, and we can have a further discussion on those things. And then we'll hear Murli. I don't know which one Ranjan Ben has chosen today or what the topic is. I think she was thinking of doing something on the topic of ever ready, because it came up in today's morning. So we'll hear from her later on. But to start with, any of you who are here in the call live, if you wanted to ask anything or say anything, please feel welcome to begin.
Shanti, brother. I know Baba is talking a lot about it, looking at his soul and not the body. And I know a lot of brothers and sisters are saying it's like a difficult thing to do. Because when you look at, maybe because we are on this Tamaparan stage and we have to develop ourselves so much more, but it's really difficult to look at someone and look at his soul. And this is what Baba is telling us to do. We have to become soul conscious. We have to be able to look at the soul and not look at the, what type of person you're talking to, no matter whom it is. Could you shed a little more light on that? Because you would look at a person who is always angry at you, and you're required to look at that person as a soul and have good wishes. And although I think most of us in this call are already at that stage where we could do it. It's just to reach that point, you know? So I don't know if you could shed some light on that. How do you do that? How do you take yourself away from the fact that you're looking at a person who is doing so much wrong? And yet you have to um, talk to that person as if that is a perfect soul. I don't know if you could just give us a little guidance on that. Thank you.
Yes, you're right. That was the main theme of yesterday's video, Morally, from Motherban. That was very clear, that Baba was asking us. The way he put it was that should be your promise. That should be your fast. As devotees, we usually fast from food or drink. But Baba doesn't ask us to do those things on a physical level. He asks us to fast from waste thoughts, impure thoughts. So this is the big effort. The big effort is the soul conscious vision. And hearing Baba yesterday and then hearing the blessing today about the power to pack up, becoming ever ready, I think it became clearer to me as well that what this is that process of packing up. So we have our 8 powers, and we have one of them, which is the power to pack up, symbolized by luggage, ready to go. So you're always ready to travel. And the soul is a traveler. And what Baba is saying to us is that actually body consciousness is about expansion. And in body consciousness, we develop our sense of self and sense of security. based on expansion. It's based on attachments. And I myself am working on this, hearing Baba improving on this. Baba saying that you've got to focus on being a soul, talking to a soul. The second type of soul consciousness is considering yourself to be a soul and remembering Baba. So I think as Brahmins, we find that one easier. So there's like the internal soul consciousness that in relation to Baba, we can think of ourselves as a soul. That's not a problem. The one that faces more resistance is this seeing others as a soul. So Baba was saying that this is what the children tell him, that this is difficult. And he wants us to reach a point where we don't even feel we're making any effort anymore, when it's just become natural. Now, there's a resistance that occurs there. And it's this resistance from having to let go of the world that we refer to. So any person, they will define themselves according to the relationships that they have. So such and such people are my parents, these are my brothers and sisters, these are my children, this is where I work. So our sense of self is based upon attachments, it's based upon references to others' bodily identity. So when Baba's asking us to only see the brother soul, we're being asked to pack up. And he was saying today in the Murli that he was evoking a scene from the Gita where Arjun is saying to Krishna that I had courage, but now standing on the battlefield, I see my uncles, my gurus, my cousins, and I don't think I can fight. Now, of course, that's once you put it into that warrior context, it becomes gross. But Baba was taking it up, and today's Murli surrounding many others' opinions. And you see, our way of relating to each other is pleasing others and being pleased. And so our whole structure, it's like a network, it's like a web of how do we define ourselves and fulfill ourselves is based on multiple relationships. So because we are so used to having these relationships to refer to and to take from, the large part of our personality will resist what Baba's asking us to do, which is to pack up all these relationships. So it actually goes on for like chapter after chapter where Arjun is saying, but how can I do this? Well, and Arjun is like a representation of the Brahmin's processing. And what Baba says, it was only in the final chapter that Arjun finally becomes a conqueror of attachment and the embodiment of awareness. Nashto moha smriti labdha. And this is that process of the yogi. So if you remember last Saturday, Baba was introducing us to the title, the Raj Rishi. And we've got to work towards that. We've got to be yogis first and then get to that stage. So that Raj Rishi is that stage where we've mastered these spiritual practices. And we are no longer defined by how the world defines us. We're not defined anymore by physical identities, by our past. We're not defined even by karma. We're not defined by anything. The Raj Rishi has become a master. And so I, the soul, define myself. And I have one relationship. That's with Baba. So Baba was observing that even when, so the opposite of your scenario, even when people are good to us, again, it causes us to go into the expansion of who they are. And Baba, the way Baba put it was, at confluence age, every Brahmin is actually enacting gifts given by God. And that would be also for all souls. You see, the seed of the tree means the soul who's connected with every soul. So we have to remember, this week, someone was asking me about how we serve through the mind and how do I do it. And he'd spoken with Sister Jayanti, and Sister Jayanti had said that, no, we don't think too much about the person we want to serve. We just focus really on remembering Baba. And it can be some Brahmins can get quite conflicted. Like when you want to have special yoga for someone, do you just keep them in your mind and Baba in your mind? How do you do it? And I was saying, oh, I totally agree with Sister Jayanti. And I think the bit that really clicked for them was that this awareness that Shiv Baba is the one soul as the seed of the tree who's connected with every soul. So when we connect with the seed, that's when we connect with all souls. You see, so he is always connected with all souls. Therefore, there's some part of every soul that's gained something from Baba. He's blessed them with one or another virtue, one or another speciality. And so what Baba says is, as you see the specialities enacted by souls, think of the bestower. Don't think of the one who took, think of the giver. And so what he's saying is pack up. Pack up. Who was the source of all of these qualities? And what this practice of seeing the soul is getting us to pack up. It means that we can no longer be in the expansion of that person. And that we might not like that. We might like having that person. For example, it's something that I've worked with and I am continuing to work with my mother, because I think the mother is a big one, isn't it? That's the big one. Well, if you can master that one, you can probably, and children probably, those are probably the two that we gain, and partner. So they're probably the three where, part of your heart just goes into that relationship in a way that no other relationships don't take from you in the same way. So in my case, it's only the mother, and but I knew that that's the one I got to work on, and drama's given me time, so I have to carry on working on that. And every day, I just am reminding myself, this is the soul, the traveler, the guest. Yeah, in a few years, that soul's going to carry on their journey. They're actually not my mothers. I can't be taking any more from that role and that relationship. I have to take that from Shiva. So over the years, it's developing the yoga with Baba that then helps that practice of soul consciousness. As long as I am needy, I don't think we can maintain that soul conscious vision, because we are going to want that. I need this person to be my mother. I need this person to be my friend. I need this person. So what will happen is fear will kick in, and that fear can be even subconscious. So actually what's resisting our soul conscious vision is fear. And this is all depicted by Arjun, that the writers of that scripture actually really do capture the human condition and the challenge for the yogis of the confluence, that we've gone into so much expansion. And what could happen is, even after becoming a Brahmin, we can expand there. It's the same tendency. It's just we switch it from the Iron Age world into the Confluence Age world. So this is why Baba is saying that with all the Brahmins as well, who is your commitment to? Who is your relationship with? It's got to be just with the seed. It's got to be with the creator. It can't be with the creation. And the basic principle is that as long as we're taking from the creation, we are weakening ourselves. So our foundation is weak. that person is always limited and that person is always temporary. That role is always temporary. That situation is always temporary. That facility is always temporary. So you are building your castle on sand. And whereas now, if you can realign everything, so your source of taking is the creator, then that becomes very solid. So my experience has been, it's been that process, that journey as well. So the more satisfied I've become through yoga, then I can let go of different relationships. So for me, the two are going together. And then seeing the soul, a couple of things there is, firstly, I'm understanding, and especially after yesterday, even more clearly, that this is about packing up. So to see it as an aid to reducing thoughts. And so if I see that this practice helps me to not have many waste thoughts afterwards, otherwise we relive conversations, don't we, in our mind. And so someone said this, and then afterwards that conversation lives on in our mind, maybe for many minutes, hours, years, even. So what this practice of soul consciousness is doing is we're actually applying a full stop in our vision. The Baba says, remember the 3 points. The soul is a point, Shibaba is a point, and drama tells you to put a full stop. So what Bapdada does when he looks at us, he has the full stop of the drama in his drishti. So he not only looks at the soul, but he also has the point of the drama, the full stop. So what we're doing is part of this soul conscious vision. We're actually not looking at the weaknesses of the soul or the behavior of the soul, but we're following Bapdada and actually blessing that soul with the vision of the full stop. And we are keeping in our heart that this next moment is a brand new start. Like, that's how Bapdada looks at us. So none of us would have been doing this for all these years if Bapdada was holding the past against us. But every moment, Baba just sees us with the vision of moving forward. He's genuinely not interested in the past. He's just constantly, okay, now what's new? What's next? How are you going to progress? How are you going to move forward? So this is why it's the 3 points that come together in this practice of the soul conscious vision that make it work. I've said before that there's a couple of things that I really see Sister Jayanti as a role model in, and this is one of them. The other one is like her attention not to waste any time. But this one, that I know for so many years, she's just practiced seeing the soul in the forehead, talking to the soul. And so it's been that deep and genuine commitment over a long period of time. And so this is really, I think, the way in which we can practice and enjoy the feelings that get empowered through that practice is the feeling of us all being eternal. So Babu connects this in the Murli quite a lot. I took it up again in the last week, that the more that you practice seeing the soul, you begin to move into more of a golden age consciousness where we don't even have a word for death. Baba says, no one says someone died in the golden age. That's because the practice from now of seeing the soul, the training we're gaining, I think Baba just then blesses. He says, okay, you practice, here you go. It's now going to be natural for half a cycle. So the result is we move into a feeling of eternity. And this is like the feeling that I'm developing, that no one can ever go anywhere. No one can perish. You can't expire. So you feel this continuity with every soul. And this is empowered through that vision that, oh yes, this is a soul. They'll always say this is a brother soul. This is a traveler. So what it does is in advance prepares us for their departure, you see. So it's then not a big shock as it is the big trauma that is there in body consciousness. And then the same for myself, because I have to, Baba says, think of yourself speaking, think of yourself doing. So I, the soul, am enabling this body to speak, to do things, but I am separate. I am the traveler passing through. So these are things I'm working on myself. What about you? What's your experience?
I am what I do, and I think I'm getting good at it, is I'm living in such a way that as the traveler and the guest, so I don't have the attachment. I think I have reached a point where the attachment doesn't get in my way anymore. But each day I look at it as a new day, a new birth. Today I have to do or live in such a way that I was taught by Baba, how, live in such a way that you only do good, think good, see good, no matter what another person is. And remember that drama is their part and their destiny is theirs. My part and my destiny is mine. I'm here just to leave behind a trail of good. So I don't worry about that. The only thing I think about is no matter how much you try, your creation on this earth, you have your children, you have your siblings. It's like your creation, you feel responsible for them. And that's the pull that you have, that I have. So I have to look at them, like you're saying, and like Baba said yesterday, Murli, as souls who have their own separate parts. You're just there to assist in their comfort, and give them what Baba has given you to give to them. So I think I'm remembering that a lot. I'm a soul, I'm a traveler, I'm a guest in this world. Baba is my only constant. He's the unlimited. He's the only one who is there throughout eternity. So I'm living in that way. So what used to worry me before and what used to pull me before doesn't do that. I'm trying as hard as I could to remember that during the day, these souls in my life or the creation in my life are gifts in my life. They're here for a purpose. I'm here to do what Baba wants me to do for them, and I live that way. So thank you for, pointing out the points that you pointed out. Now it's for me to just remember I am a soul. That is a soul. Their part is theirs, my part is mine, and not take up any burdens with that. That's my
Yes.
take on it.
And I think it's also the combined form with Baba in those things that we've been carrying the burdens for many births. So Baba says a compliment saying, hand those burdens to me. And so it's this partnership with Baba that these ultimately are Baba's children. So the deal with Baba is, Baba, okay, I hand over to you. You look after that. You make sure that they're getting what they need. So that's also part of that. It's not just seeing their souls with their own role in the drama. It is connecting with Baba. And then through that yoga, actually, Baba will then look after them and give them what they need. And we have to trust that.
That's
And
exactly what I do now. I just give it up and I say, Baba, I do my part. Now you have to help me in what I cannot do, what I feel I cannot do anymore. I have done the utmost I could do.
the other part of Baba's narrative yesterday in the video, Murli, was that this is also service of the atmosphere. So as your vision of soul consciousness improves, Baba's saying that it has the power to conquer the vices inside of you, because this is the seed of everything else. So if you can make this permanent and constant, then actually the vices won't emerge inside of you. And then you're spreading an atmosphere of purity. And it's this atmosphere of purity which then benefits everyone else. So you're saying that you should reach such a point that even those with lustful vision and vibration come into your presence, and actually they get influenced by your purity rather than you becoming influenced by their impurity. And there are stories of Mama that go along those lines, that Mama's yoga power was such that really the Devis did witness people coming with all sorts of attitudes, and just in Mama's presence, they would change. People coming with all sorts of aggression, motives, people changing because, see, the Raj Rishi in Bhakti is remembered as these great beings who transform the atmosphere. So in one Murli, Baba talks about the very early Hindus, the rishis. They incarnated at the beginning of the Copper Age. And he says that you were still living in your palaces. So you were the deities who then can become human beings, but you were still living in palaces in the cities. But you would come into your Rajo stage by the Copper Age. And these early rishis, they still in their Sato Pradhan stage, they are freshly arrived from the soul world. So their vibrations are so powerful that it pulled you like a magnet, and you went searching for them in the forest. So you see this Raj Rishi, they influence everyone else. This is that stage of being that even a king would go and search for them. And the kings make them then the first. They're called Raj Gurus, the gurus of the king, the first time where royalty takes spiritual support by like the priesthood. So we begin to develop this separation between politics and governance and religion. So this is why it's Dwapur Yuga, the duality of the Copper Age, is this duality. And now at the Confluence Age, Baba's bringing it back together. So, of course, if you're a king, you have to have children, you have to have heirs. You can't remain celibate like that. So this is why it becomes separated. And that purity, that spirituality is dealt with. And in fact, those priests, they become like kings themselves, and they become very powerful themselves. Now, the Raj Rishi is bringing both together. So the idea is that we develop such authority to be able to influence through our spirituality so that we are exterminating really all impurity in the environment. And this is the level of practice that Baba wants us to have with that vision of soul consciousness. So it's the power to pack up for ourselves, but it's actually the power of purity for the atmosphere. So it is service as well. So this is why that can also be a motivator for doing it, that we're actually serving. We're serving that soul that we're looking at, and we're also serving the wider atmosphere by doing this. Thank you. Would anyone else like to come in with their experiences of soul consciousness? Would anyone else like to ask anything or say anything?
Hey guy, I like the way you explain. It's very good. Actually, well, what happened like when we are coming from very extended family? Just that you gave a few examples. I like it very much. Talking about how Mama handled such a situation. But I personally have faced a situation where, the the crowd is overwhelming. The force is too forceful. And then we are one as a Brahmin. How do you think we can use what power to handle such a situation?
Yes, Baba has been talking about it this week in the Murli, hasn't he? That those who live at home with their family, that's the real greatness, isn't it? That's the uniqueness of Baba's religion. No other religious, founders or leaders would require family people to be adopting this level of purity. He has exactly the same standard, doesn't he? Whether you live with your family or whether you live in the center, is exactly the same. And this is why it's a really big challenge. So I think Baba understands. And again, I was talking with one BK this week again, such courage. And it's always tricky, especially where people are in marriages or this, it's just much more difficult. There's no doubt about it. So Baba is going to give extra marks for sure. And in these circumstances, I feel each Brahmin has to use a lot of patience and sensitivity in handling these, because it just is much easier if you're a single person. There's no doubt about it. Now, with that wider family, the challenge for the Brahmins is how do we maintain our principles and practices while also giving the family a feeling that we are with them and we are not disconnecting. So Baba uses this very, very interesting term. It's not a word usually used in Hindi generally. He uses this word Tor Nibhana. He says, literally it means, Tor means to break, and Nibhana means to fulfill. So he says, with all your relatives, you have to break and fulfill. Now, they both seem totally contradictory. But as we think more deeply, it's about the internal detachment and the external fulfillment. And so there are certain things that we can't compromise on, and there are 4 of them. Amritvela, Murli, celibacy, and the pure food. So those 4, we have to remain strong. The Baba does not give us a margin with those. But with the rest of the day and what we do, I think that's where we have that margin. So many Brahmins, they're working, got businesses, families, and that we must, if it means the whole of the rest of the day, we have to give it to the family and do those things, then we might have to do that. The internal practice in those circumstances, like the practice of seeing the soul, that's the main thing in those. And what's happening with all these practices is we're developing the 8 powers. All of this is happening so that we become full of the 8 powers. That's what the drama and Baba are moving us towards. So why someone is negative with us, wasteful with us, angry with us, it's so that we become full of the power of tolerance, the power to accommodate, the power to merge. I've seen in myself in these last few years that capacity growing. And that's just by keeping going with the yoga. So you're right that I think for most, it came in last Sunday's Murli. Do you remember Baba talked about the 3 levels of love? And he said the first level, you got Brahmins, they don't really have that power to become a yogi. They love Baba, they got faith in Baba, but the challenges you're talking about, they won't be able to face it. So there are many like that who they can't even try really. They just don't have that courage within them to do that. With you, I know you got the courage. So most of us, we are in that level 2. We are building up our love, but we haven't got the constant yoga yet. We're building up our chart. But that 3rd level, he was saying to the daddies that they got that constant yoga. That's where they got to. And if we look at the daddy's journey and Baba and Mama's journey, it looks like you got to have constant yoga for like 30 years, 40 years before you become karmatic, right? Because these Murlis are from like 1980s, 1990s, and he's saying they got that constant yoga, but they didn't become karmatic for another 20, 30 years, right? So, you got to, so if we look at how much yoga we got to have, I think maybe as Brahmins, we underestimate. And this is why, as you're saying, we become overwhelmed. We become, because I think the way you put it is a nice way of putting it, a correct way of putting it, that the people who are body conscious are greater number, right? And then we got karmic accounts with each of them. So karmic accounts amplifies negative vibration. So like someone you don't have karmic account with, they're negative towards you, you don't care. But someone you got a karmic account with, they're even a little bit negative to you. It hurts you. It affects you more. So this is the problem with the karmic account. It amplifies everything. With everyone else, you're a very sweet Brahmin, very nice Brahmin. Person you got karmic account with, you cannot bear them. And it brings out worse in you. So what Baba says to us, clear your karmic account through the power of yoga. So this is what we got to do, because actually they won't change. Though they're not going to change. What has to change is our burden of karmic accounts. This burden of karmic account does not allow us to be the master. We are always the creation. So when we are in Baba's center, sitting in Baba's room, we are in a retreat, we are in Madhuban, our stage is very high because we are gaining from the environment, from the company. Now, why Baba gets us to do this here? Brahma Baba was always a big fan of retreats. In his early day, he used to go to Kashmir and sit in the mountains and retreat. Very early days of Shiv Baba. And even in Bhakti, he used to spend a lot of time in retreats. He used to stay at his friend's house in Benares on the banks of the Ganges, and he used to sit in contemplation. So Brahma Baba was always a big supporter of retreats, and he created Retreat Center in Madhuban. And early days of 1950s, 7 days, why it's called 7 days course, you had to go sit in the center for 7 days. You had to go on retreat. You could not just have the course quickly, because Brahma Baba believed you have to separate. You have to be away from all influences. Then you can digest the knowledge properly. So what these retreats do is they give us an insight of what we are capable of. But then when we go back in our family, we get back to reality of our stage. So the retreat is important for potential. And we're like, oh yeah, I can do this. So what we got to remember, what was my stage like in Madhuban? Okay, what was my, when I had this powerful yoga, I had this happy, light stage, that means I can do it. And once someone was asking Lady Janki in her class in London that 5 years ago, my stage was much better. I was having much better yoga. Now it's not so good. And Daddy gave a very clever answer, I think, very useful answer. She said, so she listened to that brother saying this, and then she said, it was good once, wasn't it? So it can be again. And this is really the key point here, that as Brahmins, we might have like this. And my understanding of the process is initially, Baba helps us a lot, say, first few years. So we feel our potential. Then, after about, for most Brahmin, 8 to 10 years, then we face our reality. So Baba initially was just protecting us more. Then Brahmins, they have to face themselves much more after a few years as a BK. And initially, we are getting influence, so our stage is fluctuating like this. Then, as we develop our knowledge and our yoga power, the stage and so, yeah, for our body, if you have flat line, bad sign, means you're dead. But for the soul, this is a good sign. So the understanding is that we got to, Baba calls this line clear. So when your line is clear, meaning the flat line, that's the karmatic state. So that's the stage where everything is happening, but inside, there's no reaction happening. There's just that. And this is where the soul has cleared the karmic accounts. So it's not that the world is changing. They are still the same. But inside, so in January, we were reading some of the Bhog messages after Brahma Baba left and the Murlis after Brahma Baba left. And Shiv Baba was saying that, for Brahma, he was in the middle of everything, being with all the children, all of the love of everyone, all of that. But you have to even go beyond the positive. Even that can influence you. So Brahma just left, and he was in that karmatit stage over a period of time. And then so this is why we can be influenced by the negative and we can be influenced by the positive. But the karmatit stage is beyond both. And so the yoga has to take us there. So I think this is just a case of we got to just increase our yoga power. We got to develop. I have this thought that I need to build up extra Amrit Vela, have a little bit longer Amrit Vela, build up. I'm working on my chart. I must be getting towards averaging 8 hours now, I think. So certainly I'm seeing that. But I know that if I say to Baba, look at Baba, I think, I'm averaging 8 hours. When I look at Baba in my mind in front of me, Baba is not impressed. He just looks and says, well, what are you doing the rest? 16 hours? You're just not doing nothing. So, I think Baba is always saying to us, you're going to have constant yoga. There is no shortcut here. You have to have constant yoga to support your stage all the time, because the world is going to be coming to erode you. Do you want to come back, sister?
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, very good. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I think this is a big point for all of us, and I just think we probably are just underestimating the amount of yoga, that we hear from Baba all the time, don't we? More yoga, yoga, yoga. And for us as human beings, knowledge and service is more natural. So we can just stick with those. We like listening, we like talking, we like doing, but it's really this yoga bit. That's the one that we've got to improve. And these daddies, Mama and Baba, they really focus a lot on their yoga.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Angel Benzia, did you want to say anything? Come in.
In Angelic question, I think today is 25th anniversary. Did you hear in the news about the notes, angel of notes in Gates said, and I was going to choose this Murli of, like you're talking about bondage, because when you're an angel, you have finished all your bondages. That's why Brahma Baba says he became an example that when you are here, so finish off and then you can become angel and do the fast speed service. And today's, this is a Lokic thing in the news that north of England, they have there was a coal mine, but the president, Gormley, who was he? And anyway, then when the mine closed, so he made a big angel, but near the north motorway, I don't know, in America they call it
Highway.
highways. We call it highways. We call it motorways here. And so they were saying he was so clever. People say when we come, and as soon as we see that from motorway, the angel, we feel we are very happy. We say, oh, we have come home. We are going to get home. And all the school children, everybody said the same thing. And I said, look, Baba says that you make your stage so high and fly, and we are going to go home. So today it's been in the news and they're interviewing people, but majority, all of them mostly said, it's good to see that angel. He's made it big angel, like everybody can see. So, but shall I read this, Murli?
Yeah, we'll just ask if anyone wants to say anything.
Shanti, sister. As sister is talking about it, I remember I'm looking at the news where they had this little child in Turkey that they pulled out of the robbers, and he said that a person in white was feeding him and giving him water or giving him something to drink, and he managed to survive 112 days. So
Yes.
Baba's power, I believe that the Brahmin souls are doing wonders at this point in time.
And he was very happy. I saw him. He was very
Yes.
happy and no injury, nothing. He was totally protected. Other children were rescued, but some of them had very bad injury. And even those children are resilient, so they smile. But this, you can see, he was just shining and he was just happy.
Ranjaben was talking about a statue in the northeast of England. There's a city called Newcastle. And this a sculptor called Anthony Gormley, he based it on the Christ the Redeemer statue outside Rio in Brazil. And he depicted it as the angel. So it's called the Angel of the North. And that's what she was referring to. It's been in the news today. Would anyone else like to come in with any points or ask anything or say anything? Okay, then we'll hand over to Ranjan to take us through Murli. I don't know which one she's chosen today.
Yeah, I saw all this about angel, as I say, bondage, but we have read it a couple of times and we have discussed it. But and then I thought, well, Baba, even Sakar Murli's and Avyak Murli and this video transmission on Friday. Yesterday was about easy efforts. Baba gave us lots of blessings. And so, and there are quite a few movies. So I thought, well, I just saw this, that according to the time, become a self-sovereign and use all the spiritual facilities with a fast speed in an unlimited way. And I thought Baba has been asking us to fill ourselves so we can give, because there won't be much time. As the time goes further, we won't be able to sit comfortably, or we won't have time. And Baba has said in Murli that Baba has given us so much. Afterwards, when people will be in so much sorrow, Baba is not going to give us anymore, because Baba will have to pay attention to those who are in a lot of pain and who come later on. And so we have to be prepared and be ready to help, be Baba's helpers, and not asking or not wanting to have help from Baba anymore, because Baba will be very busy with other children who come later. And so I thought, well, this Murli will give us a lot of dharana points to imbibe, to churn. Last week we raised Murli on churning, to put it into practical life. And so it's for me, it's like Murli's of all entire month, or we have been reading, or a few weeks, and so this is summed up in this one Murli. And so, shall I start?
Yeah.
So this is the Murli of the 4th February 2001. 4/02, 2001. Today, Bap Dada is seeing the gathering of his self-sovereign children all over the world. Each one is seen as one who has a right to self-sovereignty, one who is wearing the crown of the light of purity, as one who has applied a tilak of the awareness of all rights and is seated on the immortal throne in the center of the forehead. Like Baba said in today's Sakar Murli, that somebody said, Baba, I can't just focus on the forehead. Baba said, when Bab Dada speak, Bab Dada always focus on our forehead and look into our eyes and give us drishti. It says, so why do you look at anything else? And see, this brother said, but Baba, I can't. And so Baba said, just keep this awareness, and it's to do with purity as well. So that's why I thought, well, this is really good to guide us how to make our stage. So Baba has given us the crown of the light of purity as one who has applied a tilak of the awareness of all rights and is seated on the immortal throne in the center of the forehead. To the extent that you experience all rights to self-sovereignty at this time, accordingly, you will claim all rights to the sovereignty of the world in the future. Who am I? And what is my future? Through your stage of self-sovereignty at this time, each of you can see this for yourself. And we can remember Dadi Janki wherever, even the outside in the world, people remember her for her. Who am I? Who do I belong to? And what do I have to do? These 3 mantras, she made them so firm, and majority people remember her by that. So Baba is also saying that you will claim all rights to the sovereignty of the world in the future. So Baba says, who am I? And what is my future? Through your stage of self-sovereignty at this time, each of you can see this for yourself. So Baba is asking us to look at our own future, according to our chart and our efforts. Bap Dada was seeing the constant stage of self-sovereignty of each child, constant stage of self-sovereignty of each child. As you perform each action, as you perform a lokic or alokik task, for how long and to what percentage do you constantly experience the intoxication of being one who has all rights to self-sovereignty? Many children remember the awareness of their self-sovereignty in their thoughts. I am a soul who has all rights. One thing is to think this is in your thoughts, to refresh your awareness again and again, I am this. The other is to experience yourself in the form of having all rights and to rule over the senses, the workers, the mind, intellect, and sanskars, your cooperative companions, and have the authority to make them work just as all of you children experience at every moment, that Bap Dada is making you move along according to Srimad. And so all of you do move along according to Srimad. So did you understand? Do you want to say something? Make it clear? Or is it clear? I hope it is clear. Actually, it is clear today, like Baba said about Srimad.
It's
What Baba
very
is saying
clear.
is our subtle mind, intellect, and sanskars, our subtle ministers, cooperative, and all these sense organs, are they all working according to my orders? I am the master, but Baba is my companion, Karan Karavanha. And so is everything working all right in my kingdom? Baba said, in inner kingdom, in this body. So Baba is asking us to check, and because our future depends on all this dharana, inculcation, putting it into practical, not awareness in the thought, in the head only, but into practical life. So the one who makes everyone move is making you move, and you who move are moving alone. So Baba is Karan Karavanhar, and I am Karanhar. And then with mind, intellect, I am Karan Karavanhar, moving my sense organs and my mind, everything as a master. So, and those, my ministers and my sense organs are Karanhar. They are moving according to my orders, but Baba is with me as Karan Karavanhar. So the one who makes everyone move is making you move. Souls are your senses. So Baba, yes. The one who makes everyone move is making you move, and you who move are moving along. In this way, O self-sovereign souls, are your senses, that is your workers, your mind, intellect, and sanskars, your cooperative companions working under your orders? Are they working under your orders? All of them? Baba has asked this again. All of them? One or two of the senses are not showing any mischievous games, are they? Is your kingdom functioning accurately with love and law? Instead of law and order, is it functioning accurately with love and law? Is it functioning well? What do you think? Is it functioning well, or are there sometimes some arguments? Since you say, my hand, my sanskars, my intellect, my mind, do you therefore have all rights over that which is yours? Or is it that sometimes that which is yours has a right over you, and sometimes you have a right over that which is yours? According to the time, O self-sovereign souls, now constantly and easily be seated on your immortal throne. Only then can you enable other souls to receive the right to liberation in life and liberation from the Father quickly. Okay.
So I think we're getting more and more detailed about the Rajrishi, aren't we? What does it mean? And the more that we connect with the Creator, and we ourselves also connect with our soul, self as a soul in the center of the forehead, then we are in that stage of power. But when we step down from that, then we are the creation, aren't we? We're no longer a creator. And a creation is influence, is the product of something else. So Baba's saying then the mind, the sense organs, other people, the circumstance, they will rule over you. they will have the right over you. So this is about becoming a powerful soul once again.
And also Baba said, make your, was it yesterday, wasn't it, about your soul conscious stage such that people are drawn, they're attracted to come and ask you, how did you become like this? And Baba has been saying that they can feel, and this way we can introduce and give introduction of Baba, and like Baba gave us the title, that magnet of peace. So to be attracted, to make such a stage. The call of time is now very fast and unlimited. What you just saw and heard was a small rehearsal, because and also when I saw this, there was a big earthquake in Gujarat. So in Gujarat, Rajasthan, there was a very big earthquake. Lots of people were, it happened so suddenly, big one, and like Turkey, and lots of people were died, and just so. And so this is why Baba is saying the call of time is now very fast. So this was 22 years ago there, and now in Turkey. So this Murli will help us. What you just saw and heard was a small rehearsal. Baba called that a small rehearsal. There was a big earthquake in Gujarat. You saw the unlimited plan at once. Did you not? The crying out is unlimited. Those dying is unlimited. Along with those dying, even those who are still alive are dying in distress. What is the duty of you, self-sovereign souls, at such a time? Check this. Baba asked us, and then Baba is asking us to check. For instance, for physical situations, they show you what to do at the time of an earthquake, what to do when there are storms, what to do when there is a fire. In the same way, are all the many facilities that you elevated souls have, all the powers, the power of yoga, the magnet of love, ready for such a time? Do you have all the powers? If someone wants the power of peace and you give him some other power, would he be content? For instance, if someone wants water and you give him 36 varieties of food, would he be content? Therefore, become ever ready, not just in becoming bodiless. You are to become that anyway. However, are you ever ready with all the facilities you have attained through self-sovereignty and those you have received as an inheritance from God? It isn't as you hear in the news that they can only use the machinery that they want at that time after it comes from abroad, is it? That is practically happening, isn't it? Machinery comes, there are firemen and all the other rescuers there. So Baba is asking us as well. That means that the facilities were not ever ready, were they? That you weren't able to use all the facilities at the time of need. So much damage was caused. So Baba wants us to help them in subtle way. Therefore, O world benefactors. So Baba gave us the title a few times. Baba called us O self-sovereign souls. Now Baba is saying, O world benefactors, world transformer souls. Are all your facilities ever ready? You remember the title, the heading? Baba said that according to the time, become a self-sovereign and use all the spiritual facilities with a fast speed in an unlimited way. So Baba is asking us, are we ready with like the Baba asking us to do? Are all your powers under your orders? As soon as, no, as soon as are all your facilities ever ready? Are all your powers under your orders? As soon as you give an order, that is, as soon as you have the thought to order your decision-making power, then in less than a second, the decision-making power is present. The self-sovereign with all rights is present. Is everything in such order? Or does it take a minute to bring this within yourself, and that it is only then that you are able to give to others? What would happen if you are unable to give others what they want at that time? All the children have these thoughts in their heart. What is going to happen in the future? What do we have to do? Plenty will happen, Baba says. You were told that this is just a rehearsal. This is just the small bell for the preparation of 6 months. You know, our season is 6 months. The big bell hasn't rung yet. First, the big bell will ring, and then the drums will beat. Will you be afraid? Will you be a little afraid? No. What form has been portrayed of the souls who are embodiments of power? What do you think the answer is? What form has been portrayed of the souls who are embodiments of power?
Well, the goddess is shown with all of the weapons, and they have their foot, like Kali has her foot on the demon's throat. So it's this mastery. Right? Baba's explaining to us, isn't he, that there's different elements to self-sovereignty. One is over your mind, intellect, samskaras, over your sense organs. But then there's also mastery over the 8 powers. They've got to work at the right time as well. And then the third thing is mastery over fear, because climate change is only just beginning, right? So we all know what's going to happen. So it's going to be really big. So Baba was saying the big bell hasn't rung yet. These are even such horrific earthquakes like in Turkey and Syria. Baba would still call them just a rehearsal for the big climate change that's to come.
Yeah. And because we are not only we have to be self-sovereign first in order to have to be prepared, like outside all this, in these rescue operations, ambulances, fire, they all are ready, they have equipment. We are Baba's spiritual army, rescuers, social worker. So we have to be prepared in every way with the powers, virtues. And Baba now is saying, so Baba says, what form has been portrayed of the souls who are embodiments of power? The Shakti form includes the form of the Pandavas as well as the Shaktis. Some Shaktis have 4 arms, some have 6 arms, some have 8 arms, and some have 16 arms. They are not shown to be ordinary. These arms are the symbol of all powers. Therefore, make all the powers you have attained from the Almighty authority emerge. Don't think that they will emerge when the time comes, but use all the different powers throughout the day, and then just see. See, Baba, that's why it says karma yoga, and keep Baba with you and use all these powers. Baba says donate virtues through your work, karma yoga, doesn't it? And be prepared with all the powers. To what extent do you bring into your activity the first practice of all, that of self-sovereignty? Not that I am a soul, a master anyway, but be the master and issue an order and check whether every sense is working under the love and law of you, the king. If you give the order to become manabhav, to ask the mind to be with Baba and remember Baba only, manabhav, and the mind goes towards negative and wasteful thoughts, then is this love and law? You give the order to become an embodiment of sweetness, but because of problems and adverse situations, there is not the great form of anger, but subtle force or irritation. Then is this in order? Is this in order? Remember Baba in yesterday's transmission, Murli said that, even some get angry, but Baba said then there is a progeny like irritation. They are the creation, subtle creation. And so Baba is pointing out again today about the giving example of the anger. You give the order to become an embodiment of sweetness, but because of problems and adverse situations, there is not the great form of anger, but subtle force or irritation. Then is this in order? Is this in order? Baba asked again. You give the order to be humble, but according to the atmosphere, you ask yourself, for how long must I continue to be suppressed? I must show something. Do I have to remain suppressed? Do I have to die? Is it I who has to change? Then is this love and order? Baba is saying, if you ask these questions and say, oh, do I have to die alive? Do I have to tolerate all the time? Then Baba says, ask yourself, is this love and order? This is why, before you have mercy for the world and for sorrowful souls who are crying out, have mercy on yourself. Look after your right. As you progress further, you will have to carry out a lot of work of giving sakash. There's very powerful currents, powerful vibrations, of giving vibrations and of creating an atmosphere with your thoughts. You were told earlier that up to now, whoever is an instrument for whatever service, you are doing that very well and will continue to do so. However, now according to the time, there is a need for fast speed and unlimited service. Baba reminded us about the time so many times. So again, Baba is saying, check that, however, now according to the time, there is a need for fast speed and unlimited service. Therefore, now, first of all, check every day, to what extent do I have self-sovereignty? The soul is the master who makes the senses work. Be an embodiment of this awareness. I, the master, am making these cooperative companions do everything. When you have the intoxication of that form of yours, then all these senses will automatically say, yes, my Lord, present, my Lord, in front of you. You won't have to make effort. Today, finish all waste thoughts. Today, finish all sanskars. Today, make emerge the decision-making power. All the physical senses and the mind, intellect, and sanskars will do whatever you want at once. You now say, Baba, as yet I haven't done as much as I wish to. Then you will say, I have easily been able to do that which I wanted. So Baba says, if you practice this, whatever Baba said, as a master, then you will say to Baba that I have easily been able to do that which I wanted. Therefore, do you understand what you have to do? Use the results of your right practically. Order your sanskars. Why do your sanskars order you? Why don't your sanskars finish? So Baba means old sanskars. They keep emerging. The change comes and then they keep emerging again, unexpectedly. So Baba says, why do your sanskars order you? Why don't your sanskars finish? Your sanskars are bound to your orders. Bring about the authority of being the master. So there is a very, 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 very great. Baba said this very, very 4 times. So there is a very, 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 very great need to serve others. This is nothing. So Baba said again, this is nothing. What is happening, that earthquake or anything happening in the world, it's nothing. Very delicate times are yet to come. At such a time, you will become angels, and with your flying stage, you will go all around and give to those who want peace, those who want happiness, those who want contentment. So Baba is asking us to discriminate, to know what powers they need and give them accordingly. Otherwise, they won't be satisfied. You will go around in your angelic form and give sakash, and they will experience this. Just as now they experienced receiving water and their thirst was quenched. So what happened was, this place is very near Madhuban. You hear Bap Dada saying Gujarat is next door, and as soon as you ask them, they come to help. So it's not very far. So this Kutch, this was another part like near Rajasthan, and so they needed water. And Dadiji sent the brothers from Santivan, they filled the tankers up, and it is a very rough, very mountainous road, very dangerous as well at times. And the brothers used to carry water there. And so this is what Baba is talking about. And Dadiji sent other help, and lots of others as well. But from Mount Abu was near, and so I sent some doctors. They needed doctors and whichever help they needed. And so this is water was the main, because people were really, as it is, Rajasthan is very dry. There's a lot of desert, and they have very shortage of water there. So, and so Baba is talking about that. that you will go around in your angelic form and give sakash, and they will experience this. Just as now they experience receiving water and their thirst was quenched. They received food and tents, they received support. So at that time, they would experience receiving peace from angels, receiving power, receiving happiness. In this way, the vehicle of the subtle body, this which is your final stage, your powerful stage, will become your final vehicle. So our stage is angelic stage is our vehicle to go quickly. Then going around in all directions, you will give everyone powers. You will give them facilities. Does this form of yours come in front of you? Let it emerge. So many angels are touring around. They are giving sakash. Only then can it be said, like you sing in one of the songs, the Shaktis have come. It's a Hindi song, it's a very nice, Shiv Shaktis has come. So Baba said, the almighty authority will automatically be revealed through the Shaktis. Did you hear this? According to the time, whatever you have done and whatever has happened in the best of all is the best of all. According to the time, whatever you have done and whatever has happened is the best of all. Now, in the future, something even better is to happen. Acha, you were not afraid, were you? You weren't afraid on hearing and seeing this news, were you? This is nothing. You have everything and this is nothing. However, they are your brothers and sisters, and it is therefore good to serve them. Now, self-sovereignty remains seated on your immortal throne. Don't fluctuate. So last week's Murli, remember we had the blessing and our promise, our gift to Baba, that we won't fluctuate, we will remain unshakable and immovable. And so Baba is reminding us again, remain seated on your immortal throne, don't fluctuate. Then even the government will have visions. These are the ones. These are the ones. These are the ones. Baba said it 3 times. Don't get off the throne. Don't let go of your rights. Use your rights all the time, only on yourself. Don't use rights on others. So Baba pointed out, use your rights all the time on yourself, on your senses and on subtle powers. Don't use your rights on others. Acha. Many new children have also come. Now Baba is talking.
We can stop.
No, I'll finish color. It's just a little.
Okay.
And there are lots of new children who have gone to Madhuban, might be listening or right. So it will help. Many new children have also come. I'll read it a bit faster. There has to be growth. Those who have come here for the first time in this cycle, raise your hand. You have done well. You were courageous and came, and you have thereby reached here. Those who remained there were sitting there and nothing happened. Courage is very essential. When you have courage in any task, then understand that you will have success. When you lack courage, then you will lack success. Therefore, have courage and be fearless. Don't be fearful of what is happening. Someone is dying and you are becoming afraid. Remain fearless. It is good to give them the cooperation of peace. Give that soul cooperation with feelings of mercy. Don't become afraid. Fear is the greatest evil spirit of all. Other spirit, other evil spirits can be removed, but it is very difficult to remove the evil spirit of fear. There can be fear of anything, not only fear of dying, there can be fear of many things. The easy way to become fearless for all the many different types of fear, even the fear of your own weakness, is constantly to have a clean and honest heart. Then there will never be any fear. Remember a few months ago we had this avyak signals on having clean, clear, honest heart. And so Baba is saying that will make you fearless. Then, but Baba said constantly to have a clean and constant and honest heart. Then there will never be any fear. There is definitely something merged in your heart, and that causes fear. When you have a clean heart and an honest heart, then the Lord is pleased and everyone else is pleased. Acha, Om Shanti. And we say Namaste to Bapdada.
Would anyone like to share their reflections on the moment? So I think the essence of it is that Baba is saying you have to serve yourself and make yourself powerful. Because when you are small, when you are weak, you're helping no one. It's only by being powerful that you are going to help everyone else. So don't be small anymore. Accept yourself as a master. Don't be afraid of being powerful, even though that's unusual. Sometimes we like to stay as a human being because it allows us some margin. But Baba's saying, don't be afraid of your power. It's much more useful when you become a master. Linepan, did you want to come in? Okay. So thank you all very much. I think that's the essence. And that little passage at the end about fear. Fear is a great petrol for devices and for weaknesses, isn't it? That fear can bring out the worst in us. So Baba is saying that you have to practice your soul consciousness, practice your yoga, and overcome this fear completely. I think they're just coming to say I'm Shanti. So if anyone else wants to say anything, please feel welcome. Okay. So great discussion today on soul consciousness, on becoming the master, on being able to be in our seat no matter what's happening. So carry on practicing, and then we'll meet again next time, and I'll be interested to hear your experiments. So Shanti, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Shanti. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week.
You too. Shanti. And also those of you on YouTube, Shanti too.
Shanti. It was a nice Murli, very nice Murli.